What's going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit YouTube channel. My name is Miko, joined once again by my guy Morgan Cannon, and this is your go-to place for all things Lions related. That includes news, updates, analysis, and so much more. Morgan, today we are probably getting into some film on probably like the most interesting draft pick that the Lions made in the 2025 NFL draft. I can't say it's the most exciting, but it's definitely the pick that I think got fans talking the most, whether positively or negatively. The third round pick, Isaac TeSlaa out of Arkansas, definitely generated a good amount of chatter, right?
Yeah, it was an interesting pick. It was definitely, Brad's most probably aggressive pick, if you will. Like they traded up, it was a couple, what was it, 2 third-round picks.
Yeah.
So like I get it, but they will, at the end of the third round, just to add a little context to that. But I see that I've started to see more chatter, like people are higher on him than other people thought. Like a lot of NFL teams apparently were kind of in on TeSlaa. I hope I'm saying it right now. We'll get it right before the season starts. It's only May. So, he's go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say, I just know it's not Tesla. Like I know that much. So
That's it.
As long as we're not saying that, we're good.
We're 100% on that much, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more excited after watching his tape. There are some caveats, like it's kind of a difficult evaluation just because
Yes.
Arkansas's offense wasn't the most efficient. Like they had problems protecting the quarterback. Quarterback had problems, looking at the rush like too frequently. And just kind of a frustrating evaluation, right, Miko?
Yeah, I mean, definitely frustrating in the sense that like we understand that when we do these film breakdowns, right, like we're not necessarily putting together a highlight tape, right? That's not what Morgan and I try to do. We try to go out and find examples of like, okay, what traits did this player have that made them a priority for the Lions? Because like you're saying, Morgan, to give up 2 future third round picks for a guy like this, who when you look at his stat sheet doesn't have a ton of production at Arkansas, right? Obviously, he had a 1,000-yard season at the Division II level, and obviously, like was very productive there, but not a whole lot of production in the SEC. So you really do have to go to the tape to be like, okay, what were the Lions looking at, and what were they seeing that made them feel like, hey, he's worth 2/3? Which prior to today, like I wouldn't have really known how to like necessarily put value on that. Considering the news today with the Cowboys trading for George Pickens, it kind of gives you a little bit of an insight of like that you're hoping that you're getting a really impactful player if that's the type of investment that you're giving up.
Yeah, no doubt. And like you hopefully you'll walk away from this video having like a little bit more of like insight on like what Brad's vision might be for TeSlaa in the future. Luckily for him, the wide receiver room is deep. I don't think he's going to be counted on to play. He could play his way onto the field right away because if he's out there making plays in the practice and showing he has that ability, the Lions are going to find ways to get him on the field. They've shown that on offense and defense, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm excited because he could make some noise in camp. He's only been playing the position here for a little bit. And if he can get in there and Scotty Montgomery, the Lions receivers coach, is able to, start making imprints and like getting his game and getting the nuance of being a receiver. Because I get the traits. Like the traits are on, you see them on film, right, Miko? Like the speed, the strength. He's a really willing run blocker out there popping people. And I'm sure that you guys know how the Lions value receivers who like blocking. Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So yeah, it's a big part of it, right, Miko?
It is. And I think like you said, the traits definitely pop on tape. It's not all, like we said, this is not a highlight reel. This is not about a bunch of ton of spectacular catches. And we're going to talk about those things. And we're going to talk about some of the things that we at least believe that, Scotty Montgomery is probably going to prioritize when it comes down to working with Isaac TeSlaa once he gets into camp, because there are some growing pains. But Morgan, and you and I both kind of said this, before we jumped on here, started recording. He does seem like he has the potential to be like that next big hit as far as a third round pick goes. And we all know how well, Aleem has worked out as a third round pick. So I kind of, again, not saying that he's going to be that level right out the gate, but I can at least see the vision. And we can kind of like, start to dive into the tape to kind of really look at what those traits actually are.
It really is crazy when you start thinking about how the third round picks he's hit on, like Kirby, you know what I'm saying? Like there's so many.
Yeah, I kept Kirby out of it because I'm like, I can't say that he'll be an all-pro. Like that seems a little
true. That's exactly.
That seems a little ridiculous to say.
Good. That's a good point, bro. Oh yeah, hopefully people have mentioned the name Puka Nakua, And I
Yeah.
see that with the size and the strength. Like they got out. There's an example coming up of him out there blocking a linebacker from LSU, and like that's a really good fit, man. Like that got my blood pumping. So this is a good one. Like really, just he runs an in out of the slot here. You're going to see him towards the top of your screen. So when we talk about field side, so that's the wide side of the field. He's on the field side. He's going to run an in, and once again, the protection breaks down. He makes himself available, but the quarterback ends up keeping the ball and at least picking up a chunk of yards. But this is a prevalent theme when you're watching Arkansas's tape, man. The line breaking down with a quickness, and then this poor quarterback running for his life.
Yeah, and so this is one of the first plays that I looked at when going through the LSU game, Morgan, and this was one of the first things that I noticed in terms of like technique. And I tried not to be too nitpicky when it came to TeSlaa, because again, he's the Lions clearly see something and they clearly are willing to put in the work to help him develop. But at the top of this route, one of the things that I quickly noticed was like his ability to not understand like timing in terms of being able to plant and go. Right. So this is, like you said, this is an in cutting route. And I think he takes a little bit away from this play by simply choosing to chop his feet at the top of this route instead of just planting that outside foot and then driving inside, right? And being able to create that separation against the safety. The pressure gets there very quickly. I'm not saying that the quarterback would have been able to get it there, but you and I both know at the NFL level, timing is so important.
Yep, you got to get to your landmark. You'll hear coaches talk about that a lot, and I'm glad you brought this up, Miko, because yeah, like obviously we can't evaluate. He didn't throw it to him, but at the same time, there seems to be a good amount of wasted energy at the top of that route. I don't know what he did with his feet there, but it was weird, kind of weird, and it's not always crisp from TeSlaa. Like it's just not right now. That's just not where his game is. Hopefully, he can get there. There's some good guys to learn from in the Lions receiver room. Number 14 would be the one I would attach myself to if I was TeSlaa. I would will do everything he does, try to at least. And but yeah, this definitely some wasted energy at the top. This next one, frustrating again. You guys are gonna another prevalent theme. So he's wide open, but the pressure flushes the quarterback towards the right. Just another good example of him giving his quarterback somewhere to go, though, right during scramble drill, right, Miko?
Yeah, he clearly understands how to get open and understands how to find space, you know, especially from the slot. Like that's where you see him line up a lot in this Arkansas offense. He will occasionally, you know, be out wide, and we do have a couple plays where you get to see that and see some of the routes he runs when he's out wide. But I believe it was like 60% of his snaps, Morgan, were played from the slot position. And so they definitely, I think that's where you start to get some of the Puka Nacua comparisons, because Puka's rookie year, like obviously as like I think he's like 3, played a big slot role and was able to really thrive in the NFL in his rookie year by being able to just get open and use that size. Yeah, in that situation.
Yeah, and Puka's a technician too, on top of being like a big dude that can really he can run well. He's not like necessarily like a burner, but he can run well enough to like make you respect him running a go and running by you. He's really good though, and that's where I think that the comparisons come from. But you know, maybe with time, because I would caution fans to expect that from TeSlaa right out of the gate. You know what I mean? Like you said. So, but yeah, it's a good example. I like that you said that. It's him understanding like where he needs to be, finding green grass. But yeah, this guy has a free runner and didn't even get to look at him. He's pretty open, but didn't even get to look at him because you get a free runner out of what is it, a linebacker?
Yeah. And this is another situation where, again, it's not the same as the last play where he chops his feet at the top of the route. But again, we're talking about in-cutting routes, right? So when you want your receivers to break inside, you want these to be as smooth and as sudden as they possibly can be. So again, it's all about timing. It has nothing to do with how pretty the route looks. It's all about timing. And when you're talking about potentially being a receiver for Jared Goff, who is known for being very timely with his drops and with delivering the football, doing things like this where rounding your route may not seem like a big deal, but Morgan, you know, when it came down to JMO, when his rookie year, or like his rookie and second year in the NFL, like that was something that he really struggled with in terms of like being exactly where you need to be. We're talking about the difference between 1 or 2 yards. And if Jared Goff is expecting his receiver to be somewhere, like you have to be there. And little things like rounding off your route is something that can take you out of position of where you're supposed to be and where he's expecting to deliver the football.
Yeah, and I love that you said that, Miko. If you guys want to think about it, like, when Goff throws some of those interceptions where you're like, what in the world, like where the whole stadium, it's because he threw it to a spot because there was a blitz. The receiver wasn't there and the worst thing happened. So, like, I'm not putting it on the receiver all the time, but it does happen. That's one of the issues that, can occur if you're not on time with your landmarks, where you need to be when you need to be there. Jumping up to the next one, he's out wide towards the field side, so wide side of the field, and just runs a stop against off coverage, just recognizes the play well at least. And they throw it to the drag, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So this is one of those plays where, again, at least we can see that he does run, or at least does line up outside. So it's not like it's a completely foreign concept to him if the Lions ask him to play more of that traditional X role. I will say that in this game specifically against LSU, I think he lined up out wide like 4 or 5 times. He ran the same route every time. It was always this kind of like hitch type of like, curl route type of situation. And I think that's where we start to talk about where you're talking about like he has probably a fairly limited route tree and at least understanding of like the types of routes that he's been asked to run at Arkansas. This was something where, you and I talk about, for the love of the game routes. And some of those are sometimes those are go routes. Sometimes those are deep posts. Sometimes they're just short little hitches where you're never the primary target, but you're just trying to occupy the corner's eyes. And this is another situation where I think, again, you can maybe get a little bit better in terms of like being able to break down and come back to the ball. But I'm not going to be super nitpicky because I don't think he was ever a primary target on this route.
No, and to his credit too, for Arkansas's offense, like from what we watched, I doubt they're throwing it out wide often because they don't have the time to hit like a 7-step drop and let that develop because their offensive line just didn't really have it going on, man. So yeah, that's actually a great point, Miko, because you are running a lot of for love of the game routes, and it probably explains why they wanted TeSlaa inside closer to the formation because it's easier for their quarterback to get it to him. Because I get it, man. this looks like a frustrating way to do business offensively.
Yeah. Now this next play, Morgan, had me like jumping out of my seat,
Man.
because this is probably one of the best routes that he runs. I think there's another play that we're gonna get to later that that's even better than this. But this was like executed perfectly, and all you are expecting your quarterback to do is look downfield. Like this is a situation where, Morgan, like you talked about earlier, where the quarterback's eyes are just maybe a little too focused on the rush and not understanding like what's happening play side. And Isaac TeSlaa wins early on this wheel route, and this would have been 6.
Man, and this is the one, I love that you made the Goff point earlier, because in my opinion, like this is where Goff is like so good at just putting it out there on the money. But they run a rub route essentially into the boundary. So TeSlaa starts off in the slot and he's going to run the wheel, and then the receiver to the outside is running essentially like a skinny post. It works perfectly, man. All you got to do is just put it out there for him and he'd run under it. But like you said, looking at the rush, man, that's frustrating because this one got me. I was like, oh, this is going to be 6. And now he didn't even look at him.
And the thing that's frustrating too, like I get that there's some pressure, but he is able to step up into the pocket.
Just look
like
again.
In this play.
Look right here. Look, boom, look, throw it.
Yeah. This is one of those more frustrating ones, but like it's one of the more exciting ones because you do see some of the speed and the athleticism really show off in this play because he gets on his horse. Like there's no stutter and go. There's nothing. This is pure athleticism of like, I can just outrun you to where I'm supposed to be on the field.
Yeah, man. I had that corner that traveled across the formation at the last second, 9. It had him reaching, looking foolish on tape. That was not good. But yeah, it was like, I'm glad you included this one though, because this should have been 6, man. And if you're playing with Jared Goff, 9 times out of 10, he's going to put that out there for you and let you run under it. Ask Jameson Williams.
Absolutely.
The
next play that we're going to get to, so this is the last play that we have against LSU. This was his only reception for the game, Morgan. Like, he wasn't targeted a ton, but when he was targeted, he did make a nice, strong catch. And I think, again, this is something that you can at least expect. If he's able to get on the field and he's able to play that slot role, like, again, he understands space. He understands how to settle down in space and make himself a big target for his quarterback. and has really strong hands. We talked about this, I think, when he was drafted. No drops at Arkansas. So he's going to make this catch and get popped immediately. That stays very secure with the football, though.
Yeah, you can see he understands where to be again, right? So he's the slot receiver into the trip formation over there to the wide side of the field. And just good job finding some green grass, right? Like he's able to settle down, make it easy for his quarterback. And for once, Arkansas blocks this up pretty decently. Watch this. So the running back releases to the outside, but they're able to block that up pretty decently. And look at that. Give him a nice clean lane, is able to throw it between the hashes. And yeah, good job giving his quarterback somewhere to throw the football, because this was a tough watch against LSU. Respect to them.
Yeah. And I think this is going to be one of that's something that I think he can expect from Jared Goff, because again, like we talk about, like Jared's ability to understand timing, his ability to read coverages and understand where pressure is coming from. Like TeSlaa could be a huge favorite of his if he's able to get on the field and able to play this similar type of role, because like I said, he understands space. He is such a big target, and he at least knows that his quarterback is going to be on time with the football. So again, that ball could have been out even a little bit earlier, and then it's probably more of a turn and catch type of situation where he's able to get a little bit of yak. But again, quarterback just a tick slow in terms of being able to process what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think Goff has a really good arm. Is it like a howitzer? No, but it's a really good arm. And to your point, he throws with so much anticipation. Like if there's a blitz and he knows it's unblocked, he's going to throw it to a spot. And if you're not ready, if like you come out of a break, it's liable to hit you in the face on national television. So, you know what I mean? Like he's one of those quarterbacks, man. I really love Goff for that, throwing it to a spot. Well, go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, like, if I know we're talking about like, hey, he didn't have any drops at Arkansas and this, that, and the other. And I think people are going to expect like, oh, so we should never expect him to drop the football. He's going to drop a pass in the NFL, people. Like it's going to happen. Everyone drops a pass. Even Amon-Ra, who catches 20 passes or 200 passes a day, has dropped passes. Like it's going to happen. But I do think for Isaac TeSlaa, like if it's a drop, it's probably for something like you're saying, where like, hey, your head wasn't turned around fast enough, and you got to be able to be timely. Like you got to be able to whip that head around, have your hands ready, make the catch, and be able to turn up field. We talked about this earlier as well, Morgan. One of the other aspects and one of the other traits in his game is his run blocking. This is probably my second favorite run block that I was able to see of him when grabbing like clips from film. I didn't grab the other one, but I did grab this one, and it just shows his willingness, it shows his toughness, it shows his ability to like really like square up on a block and not just like, you know, hit somebody, but actually like keep them out of the play.
This for sure. When they were watching this, like Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, the Lions, Dan Campbell had to probably put a little tobacco in his lip. He's like, oh my God. Because like you said, I love that you are making that point. A lot of people can throw their shoulder into somebody and like decleat somebody, you know, coming back like on a crackback block or something like that, like in motion. And that's fine. You know, it's still willingness to throw your body around. But this is working out of the trip. So he's the slot again, just fitting up against LSU's linebacker, right? Number 18 there. And this is, and he stays engaged. Like
the thing that's like crazy about this too, like he gets a little bit of help at first, right? From the offensive lineman, and the offensive lineman eventually just leaves like, oh, you got this. Like I don't need to help here at all. Let me just go ahead and find somebody else to block.
Like you're dogging this guy. Like, man, listen, if I'm like back in the day as a linebacker, if you got blocked like by a receiver like that, you were gonna get made fun of, like in film that next week. Like, dang, you got dogged out by a receiver, dog. Like, how do you feel about that? You know what I mean?
It's not a good look, right? So, like we said, like that the LSU game for me, Morgan definitely showed his ability to understand like where to be on the field. He definitely understands, you know, how to be a willing and physical blocker. The next game that I looked at was the Ole Miss game. The Ole Miss game is where you start to see how strong his hands are. And this was like this very first play is a great example of that, because homie gets popped. Like as soon as this ball lands in his hands, it's immediately getting sandwiched between two players, but he hangs on for a really tough catch here.
Yeah, and he knew he was going to get hit too, so I give him respect. So he's running an out route. It's a decent route. He kind of rounds it off a little bit, but that could be part of their offense. I don't know. But it's a good ball for once. It's on the money. Who's there? Is that 10 still?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. This is a good ball. No, I shouldn't say for once. That's mean. But yeah, he knows he's going to get popped. And the going for rack after the fact, after you get kind of walloped like that, nah,
Mm-hmm.
that probably, again, that's a Dan Campbell hitting his knee type of deal.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the type of stuff that you, again, seeing him work from the slot, like you said, yeah, maybe rounds us off a little bit. But again, this is kind of a slower developing play. It allows him to really get into his route. And yeah, maybe if the ball's out a little bit quicker, maybe he doesn't have to take this shot, because these are definitely shots you don't want to take at the NFL level.
No, and the corner out there passes it off. That Ole Miss is running a zone, and he passes that off and sees where he's going and is able to get a good shot on him. But shout out to TeSlaa. That's a tough play, man. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be an out and up to begin with. So we got TeSlaa working into the boundary here as the slot receiver, and you guys decide for yourself. It kind of looks like he's running an out, and the DB runs it with him, and
Mm-hmm.
but he really good job of snapping it off. So you'll see here, I'm not sure, he's working up, snaps it off, works back to the ball. So another good example of him understanding my quarterback's probably getting pressured right here. Let me snap this thing off and make myself available.
And one of the more difficult things to do as a receiver, especially when you're running a route towards the boundary, right, towards the sideline, is making sure that you don't step out, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously, once you step out, and if if the quarterback throws the ball after you've stepped out and you haven't reestablished yourself back in bounds, this is illegal touching. You guys lose a down. So really good job of him having that field awareness of understanding, like, okay, I'm still in bounds. But like you said, he ran his route to whatever it was supposed to be. It looks like it was supposed to be kind of just like an out to the boundary. He wanted to work upfield, but then like kind of like uses that to create that additional space for him to work back to the football. And again, at 6'4", being a big body, like he's a really difficult target to miss in a situation like this.
I love it. And I hope he can continue. Like if he can get like a little bit stronger, like add another level of strength as a pro, because you can kind of bully. Like that's how Nakua wins a lot of the time. Like he's really good. He's a really good receiver. He under like the nuance and everything, but he's also plays bully ball out there. And you can kind of do that. Like Mike Evans has been making a living doing that for years and years and years. So, but yeah, it was good to see this. And I'm glad you said that thing. Yeah, that's 100%. You'll see the referee with his hat off, that the side judge over there, and they're going to say illegal touching every time. I hate that. Dude, this is another one. Whew, this got me going. No lie.
Yeah, this is probably the best route he ran. Of all the plays that I looked at, this was easily the best one that he ran in terms of like selling that out, turning it into an up, turning into like a 9 route. So this is typically called like a sluggo type of route. You kind of run up, you cut outside to make the corner think that you're going to run an out, and then you immediately cut it back upfield. And he sells this perfectly, really gets the safety to bite on it, and he's wide open.
Yeah, that safety drove on that thing. And the only thing I'm going to get him for is a really great high point, good run after catch. This is something that really, this appeals to me because that last play shows me, okay, like I can see the vision with him as an X receiver, like having the awareness working against the sideline like that. This shows me like, man, you could play all over the place because the run after catch is great. The only thing I'm going to get on him for is ball security. That thing was out there. And Scotty Montgomery, I'm sure, is going to have a chat with him about that. Like, hey, we can't be having that.
Yeah, especially in a situation like this where you're fumbling out the end zone. So again, now we're talking about a touchback. Yeah, it's not the type of exclamation point that you want to put on a play like this. But this is excellent route running. Like you said, Morgan, it shows you the vision. It shows you like, okay, there is something to work with. It's not like he's just stiff and incapable of being able to sell these routes. It's just working on the fundamentals and the nuances of route running. And it may take a season, right? We may not see it all his rookie year. Maybe by year 2, we start to see more development, but he definitely has the tools to turn into a pretty solid route runner.
No, I was so happy to see this because this is an athlete, like selling that, like with the head fake and everything. Like that's how you toast people, man. Cause this is what gets you yelled at again in the film session. Ugh. And just, yeah, 5 try to sell it, or tried to play it off like he didn't get toasted. But yeah, did that go out of the end zone or did it go out of bounds?
It went out of the end zone. Yeah. So when I watched the whole play, yeah, you actually see them, like the line judges come in and they basically call it a touchback. So yeah, really rough play for him because it was, again, great route, great high pointing the football, good run after the catch. Just got to be able to finish that a little bit better by securing the football. Last play of the night though, Morgan, and probably his best play, at least of the games that I saw, because not gonna lie to you guys, 2 games of watching Arkansas struggle to move the football, I was just happy to see a touchdown, and I was so happy that it went to Isaac TeSlaa, because this is another good play of him understanding and having good rapport with his quarterback and understanding, like, hey, if my quarterback is in trouble, like, I need to find open space on the field. And again, uses that athleticism to turn this into a very, very big play.
Yeah, and it looks like he runs a go essentially out of the slot there towards the bottom of your screen. The DB is able to reroute him a little bit, but like you said, gets his head around and knows he has some space towards the sideline, and good throw, really good throw from the quarterback. Then yeah, like you said, thank God for a touchdown, because TeSlaa's going to feel like he was at, like, I don't know, I'm not playing the trumpet in like a high school band, and now you're playing the trumpet in like the national orchestra, you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what the Lions offense is compared to Arkansas's offense.
It is. Even in a play like this where he eventually works his way open and is able to, again, make himself available, and the quarterback actually looks down the field this time and is able to see him, this go route still could have been prettier, right? Like, you're working up against, I believe this is a safety that kind of comes down to cover him. You would like to see a little bit more wiggle, right? In creating some separation so that you can get an easier clean break. Because if he's able to, like, Morgan, if he's able to shake this safety at the 30-yard line,
by him clean,
and this is wide open. There's no one else out here to be able to catch him or be able to cover him. So it's those little nuances, right? It's not to pick on him, and it's not to say that he can't be that, because we were just talking about his ability to sell a route. It's understanding, like, how can you work off of opposing DBs to create that separation, to use your size, to be able to use your speed, especially so that you don't create offensive pass interference too. Like, we're not asking you to, like, push people over or things like that, but be able to use your feet, be able to use your body language to be able to really sell routes so that you can kind of have that upper hand against guys that are not nearly as athletic as you.
No, I agree. I thought maybe the only thing that threw him off a little bit was, one, the safety ended up like kind of stacking him at the top there. And yeah, but like you said, you'd like to see him just make like a sudden move and try to run right by that cat, because I think they were in zero across the board. So they were in man across the board. So nobody's back there, and that's a layup. Those are the ones you want with him and Jameson Williams. Like, need like 5 or 6 of those next year. Like just the 70-yard, like the one against Chicago, JMO got.
Yeah,
he just ran by the dude, and Jared put it right out there. So I want to see more shots, man. Get 14 some shots, man. St. wants more deep shots. Push that ball down the field.
There's going to be a lot of healthy competition when it comes down to who can make the big play. If Isaac TeSlaa is able to really, again, show the ability to get onto the field, because I know a lot of people see his size, they see his measurables, they see his speed, and they're like, X receiver. But clearly, like, he has the ability to play in the slot, and if the Lions want to be very multiple, even as an offense, having him be able to play that big slot and giving the Lions even more flexibility of where they line up Saint, where they line up JMO, where they line up Jameer or Sam Laporta, like, it really becomes a chess match. And that's even without Ben Johnson, right? Like, that's even with, like, you just have a plethora of assets and players that you can kind of roll out as will. We'll have to see, right, like how well he acclimates to the game, and how well he can earn Jared Goff's trust, because that's another big part of being in an offense like this. JMO has that trust. Amon-Ra's had that trust. Sam, Jameer, like, there's already guys that are very much trusted in those situations. You are going to have to prove, not by just catching the football, but by getting open and being where you're supposed to be, that you can be trusted in a very high-powered offense like what the Lions run. But I'm optimistic about what he's able to do.
Yeah, and my expectations for him, because I agree with you, they're high in year 2. This year, I want him to I think he'll get reps at the slot, but in my opinion, like, I want them to just stick him at the X and be like, learn it, buddy. You got 5 months to just learn playing X. Like, sit with Tim Patrick, watch what these guys do, like, put in the work, and hopefully be ready to start at the X in 2026, because that would be the vision, man. If he hits, like, and he's that kind of player, like a big physical, like Puka Nakua bully ball type, and then you have JMO and Saint, and Laporta and Jameer and blah blah blah. Good lord, like that's I see the vision, Brad. I see the vision.
Yeah, I think like we talked about, right? He has the athleticism, he has the toughness, he has the willingness to block, he has the awareness of, at least again from the slot position, of how to find space and how to make himself available. And like we talked about with the athleticism, when he does get the football, he has the mentality to be able to go out there and pick up additional yards, to try and use his speed to get, more yards after catch. It really just is going to be interesting to see, like, what is he going to look like in a much more polished offense? Like, I think that's the nicest way of saying it, right? Like, what does it look like when you have a player of this caliber in an offense where the offensive line is one of the best in football, where the quarterback is one of the more consistent and accurate quarterbacks that you have in the league? Like, what does that look like? And when you surround him with players that are going to get way more attention than he is, like, as I get that he's 6'4", I get that he has crazy athleticism. No one's taking their eyes off of Amon-Ra St. Brown. No one's taking their eyes off of Jameson Williams. No one's going to take their eyes off of Jahmyr Gibbs or Sam Laporta. If Isaac TeSlaa is able to get onto the field in limited snaps, I think he has an opportunity to at least make an impact. We'll just have to wait and see what that looks like.
Yep, I agree with you. It could be in 2025. We'll see. That'd be like best case scenario, but as long as he's working in the background and tracking on being an impact player in year 2, because that's exactly the vision I see, Miko. Like if he can also be like kind of a dude out there, because there's so many other problems.
I guess this is why I'm a little more optimistic, or at least want to at least believe that we'll see something in 2025. You don't give up 2 future thirds to have this guy not get some snaps, right? Like, I'm not saying that we're talking about him starting. I'm just saying, in mix and matching your receiver combinations,
10, 15 a game, something like that early on. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, like that's all I'm saying. And even if it's just to get out there blocking, like I think that's
True.
still an added attribute. Because again, if you're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown being your ace, right? Again, love that Saint wants to block, love that he likes to go out there and do the dirty work. That's also like a really big investment that you need available for the long haul. Less of him having to do those types of crackback blocks and like where he's lined up outside Panay and then having to peel inside to get a linebacker. How about you let the 6'4" rookie do a little bit of that, because he likes to do that too.
That's a big man too, TeSlaa is. So yeah, that'd be good with me. Like let him pick up some of those snaps, maybe an end around here or there, because he was like a quarterback back in the day at like up there at Hudsonville.
Word.
Let him throw the ball.
No more JMO double passes. Instead it's Isaac TeSlaa to JMO.
Poor JMO. JMO probably never even played quarterback since Pee Wee, man.
But they probably saw that play, was like, that
would be better.
Had potential, but we just need a guy that can actually has a little more experience.
JMO said, I'm throwing it, man. Now listen.
Oh man. But that's pretty much going to do it for our film breakdown of Isaac TeSlaa. Like I said, it's one of the more intriguing film breakdowns because, like I said, it's not a bunch of highlight guys. It's not a bunch of like, catch and runs for big touchdowns. We didn't even get to see a lot of like red zone type of snaps. So that's going to be a question too. Can he be reliable in the red zone? Obviously, with that size, you would think so, but those are things that they're going to have to work with him on. And it's going to be the stuff that's going to be interesting to see as we get into training camp, rookie mini camp, and all those types of things. It's going to be really interesting to see how that develops. But those are all of our thoughts on him as a player. Obviously, Morgan and I are at least optimistic about the traits we saw. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section because, like I said, this player, probably more than any other draft pick that the Lions made, was probably the most contested. And I'm really interested in seeing what you guys think after looking at the tape, after hearing what we had to say about what we saw. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think the Lions still maybe wagered a little too much? Or do you see the vision? Do you see enough on tape to be like, you know what? Not saying that he'll be a future Pro Bowler or anything like that, but maybe he can be a heavy contributor to this offense as early as year 1, more than likely in year 2. Let us know that in the comment section below. Also, if you're looking for any more additional Lions content, you can always check out prideofdetroit.com. We have new articles going up every single day about any recent news, any other updates. Like I said, rookie minicamp is going to be starting, I think, later this week. So there's even more to talk about with the Lions as the offseason kind of, ramps up and we start to get closer and closer to real actual football. So the website is definitely where you want to be. Also, if you want to stay locked into the video content that we're doing over here on YouTube, if you want to be able to stay locked in when we do live streams, you want to hit the subscribe button, you want to hit the notification bell. That's going to keep you locked in so that whenever we drop a video or go live, you will immediately be notified when that happens. But with all that said, I'm Miko, he's Morgan. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.